Hey Genevieve, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Ryan?
Yeah, really good. Actually, very good because like I've been podcasting and doing exit interviews for US Survivor and Australian Survivor for about like 12, 13 years. And I actually took a hiatus during your season. I just had a bit of a break and traveled and had some fun. So I actually didn't watch your season until after, and I watched it in like I want to say like a 24-hour malaise like binge
My
watch.
God.
Which for
Okay,
me is
yeah.
so weird because I've literally watched Survivor like regularly week to week like everyone else. So I feel like I like learned your game pretty well. I was like, oh, okay, I could like watch the pattern through. I was spoiled a little bit, so I was watching through. It was like, yeah, it was really interesting. So for you coming back, I'm really fascinated playing 47, coming back into 50 so soon as well. Like it's almost like a year on, year off thing. How was that for you? Because I loved your first game, and to see you come back, I was so excited.
Oh, thanks, Ryan. It was, and I'll be curious. I know these are like really tight windows, but I'd be curious to get your perspective of do you think you digest it differently if you go week to week and have the anticipation build, or if you just binge it? Like, does it hit the same for you?
I think it's a really interesting question. I think the characters when you watch it week to week, you grow a stronger affinity to because like you're almost like you're questioning what their next move is and you don't have that digest time. I love the digest time. That's why I have a podcast because I can reflect, I can think about in the week like should have Genevieve done that move or should she have done this move? And like I think you have that processing time. So I know that's a bit old school, and I don't want to use the word old school. It's a bit like careful here, but I am probably a bit old school in terms of like my viewing habit. I personally, I think I prefer to watch it week by week because I think you get to feel the characters probably a little bit deeper. I don't know.
I
What about
agree
you?
with
What
you.
do you think?
I,
Yeah,
I think the same, like, because then you step away from it and like you get the cliffhanger, and then you start worrying and wondering, and so you're more invested by the time you go to sit down for the next one because you're like you've had all these ideas and concerns. So yeah, but anyways, it was such a trip because I had applied for like 6 years before getting cast on 47,
yeah,
did that summer of 2024, and then before the season was airing got like the initial call for 50 for like just temp checking, and I was like in the peak anxiety because my first season hadn't started airing, so I'd only had the game experience, not the TV experience. They're
yeah.
very different, of
So
course, and
different.
so I was just like terrified, being like, let me see if I survive airing and all the things the internet is going to do to me and my mom's going to have to read. But then went back, and now because this was an even number season, you have a lot more time in between when you film and when it ultimately airs. So just even
Yeah.
longer to like marinate in your anxiety before you get closure. So yeah, it was a wild time. I feel like I've been on the Survivor roller coaster, like applying, getting rejected, being in casting, applying, rejected, and then 2 seasons back to back. It's been like kind of in the back of my mind or in the forefront for like 8 years now. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a
I'm
great.
tired. I'm
You're
tired,
tired.
man.
No, I feel you. It's like, and I think it's such an interesting one. Like, I loved your final lines talking about, being a player and going back to being a fan. And I think that resonates with so many people who like never get off the couch and stay on the couch and watch. But when we see fans play, I think we do feel a part of ourselves in them. For you having like that 2 year slash 8 year casting journey of Survivor, which is true though, like it's actually like really true I think when you put your passion and you put your interest in something, you dip your toe in something, whatever that is. Survivor, like for me, it's running. Like I love running, so for me, it's that's my thing. And so when you dip your toe in something, it just you become hooked. It's the adrenaline. It's the need to take that next step to go further to figure out if you can like challenge yourself. And I guess for you, having done that for 8 years in a way, how are you feeling in this moment? Then I guess like post this experience and where are you at in your own head? I know that's a big thing to say, like having just watched your episode last night and done probably 1,000 interviews today, but like where is Survivor sitting for you?
I still love it.
Yeah.
Like it gives and takes, and I feel like you get as much out of it and it takes as much from you as you are prepared to take from it and to give to it. And so I try and keep like a pretty healthy boundary of what I'm prepared to give to the game. And I really compartmentalize it for when I'm in Fiji versus when I'm at home.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I'm just so excited to, see the rest of 50. Obviously, I have friends on the cast. I know what happens, but I'm excited to watch it. And then I'm excited to see what the future holds because it's been such like a landmark season. But then what does that mean for 51, Ryan? Like what's going to be happening? Are
Mm.
are they going to be subject to a blood moon? I hope not. I hope
Yeah.
not. Those sweet babies on 51? No way. No more blood moons.
No more blood moons. Look, I was going to ask you. That was one of my questions. Blood moon. Does the blood moon hate Canadians? Because I feel like it's really, it's not
Right?
right.
I know this is
Mm.
not an equal opportunity moon for sure. So yeah, well, I can tell you one thing: Canadians hate the blood moon.
Yeah, no, no, I just tried to give it. I agree. I think it's a negative thing at the moment, but like, yeah, it is.
I like all other phases of the lunar cycle. To be clear, Ryan, it's just the blood moon that I have beef with now.
This is so fair. It is interesting though, like in terms of like placement and where you fall and like that experience of Survivor 50 and you talk about it being such a landmark season. It is really a landmark season. It's structured like when we look at Survivor, I think you can go back and you can look at those real like key moments as a fan. You can definitely like heroes and villains really stands out and the cast uh, is iconic in a way. And I do feel like 50 will can I keep that connection. I feel like 50 will become one of those iconic seasons. It is very different from traditional Survivor. Even it's very different from New Era Survivor. It kind of blends a bit of both worlds into one, which I really like. So, what that means for 51, it's a great question. I actually hope they take elements of the way this show has been produced and created into the next season your own game, it fascinates me because obviously, like you originally go out there, you seem like you're in a fairly good position. You lose, I think maybe you're number one in Kyle. Is that the edit or is that really the case out there?
He, Kyle was someone who I connected with right away. We had genuinely not met before season 50, but he lives in New York. And so some of my good friends from season 47 also live in New York. And so
Yeah,
I was like, if this guy, I didn't feel safe with anyone. I never do. I've got like so many trust issues with all human beings. But like, out
same.
there on that starting tribe. Yeah, so you get it, right? Like, I've been through some shit, right? Anyways, but I was like, if this guy screws me over, he's gonna have to deal with like Teeny and Andy back in New York. So it gave me like a little bit of confidence of, okay, one, I'm a great shield for him. So there's a lot of game reasons why he should work with me. Two, there is like more of a personal connection here than with others. And a three, he's just super charming. So he's like instantly lovable. And so we were a bit of like the golden retriever black cat kind of duo.
Yeah.
And it was devastating when he left. Like he was just so great. And he really had my back and was bringing a lot of information to me that was like, one of the first ways I found out, Aubrey wasn't gelling with me and Kyle like was very adamant that we could get her out. So it's just so weird because if you saw, 47, the word alliance and me were like never
Mm.
conceptually on the same page. And then this time I tried really hard to be more open and try and find myself in an alliance, which I ultimately did. And we could talk about like the benefits and drawbacks of being a lone ranger versus working in an alliance because it's not all gravy either way.
Yeah.
But it was tough to lose him and then have allies lose their votes and then find
Yeah.
idols you have to give away. And
Well,
so
I just wrote down had not used Zoom prior to Survivor with Kyle, so noted. I'll just tick that and put a little star next to it. Yeah,
no.
this season is strange for you, especially because like congratulations, you found two idols on Survivor, but also
Did
commiserations
I? Did I,
because
Ryan?
well, you had to give them up twice. So like
Yeah.
that's it's such a where is your relationship currently with Billie Eilish? Because I feel like that's not necessarily a positive one.
No, I am just here in Canada wondering like what did I ever do to Billy to make her hate me so much to make me give away my idols? Like I never find anything in 47 like I'm just cursed. I will never have an actual idol in my hands. I will have a fake idol or I have an idol that I have to give away. Where's just a normal idol ever for me? I don't know.
As Genevieve's idol, and especially in this situation where like we're getting to the blood moon, and it would be very valuable in a moment to
Oh,
potentially
I would have
use.
played it.
Of course you would
Yeah,
have.
if I
Of
had an
course.
idol, then I would have played it.
And look, I don't want to say like I don't want to say your enemy in the season, but it was a little bit of your enemy in this season, and it's so funny watching that play out. The relationship with Aubrey you've touched on a little bit, and I'm sure you talked about it 1,000 times today as well. So apologies for re-asking it, but it did surprise me. It surprised me a lot having been a student of the game, watching Aubrey play multiple times, and seeing I guess how she's who she's worked with in the past and the I guess the adversarial impact of others around her that she wasn't necessarily open to working with you. Were you equally shocked? And I guess you talked about Kyle telling you that that wasn't a positive relationship almost instantly. How did you try and navigate yourself through that, being someone out there and knowing someone really does not want to work with you?
Yeah, it was interesting because her opening to me was very positive and like signaled that she did want to work with me and she basically said she was a fan of my game and so I thought that it was going to be great because I was a fan of hers going into it and thought we'd work well together. And so you see this sort of awkward conversation in episode 1, which is where I have the information knowing what she's saying, but she doesn't know that I know because she's obviously not privy to the majority alliance dynamic that the 6 of us were in. And so I every player approaches like relationships differently. One of my sort of strengths but also weakness is that I'm pretty easy to read and I generally use that to make genuine connections. So I'm not friends with everybody, but the people I'm with know where I stand. And so I think even if you don't get along with someone personally, you can still have like I'll call it a professional relationship in Survivor, right? Like we don't
Yeah.
have to like each other, but we can work together. There's this move in Australian Survivor that I propositioned to Saul in 47, and I like would have loved to ever replicate it. But it's like Matt and David working on opposite sides of the tribe and like feeding
Yeah.
each other information because no one assumes they're and like so you can do really interesting things when people just assume there is no communication channel between you and someone else, but you need a certain element of like working relationship to be able to do that, and we just never could. So it was too bad.
Yeah, I love your connection to Australian Survivor there. For people who don't know, that season was an all-star season as well. 24 players coming back to play season 5 of Australian Survivor. Yeah, it's interesting that it just didn't naturally gel. And like, I guess as the time out there is continuing on, like, are you feeling like, can you feel the divide and the separation between yourselves? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Can I
I
think,
mean, like I, for better or for worse, I can generally read the room. Sometimes I can't like, fix what's happening in the room or control myself, but for the most part in Survivor, I've been fortunate enough to be able to like read the dynamics happening around me, even if they're not, I'm not able to do anything with it.
yeah.
Um, yes, it was like I could feel it. I think everybody could feel it. Everybody could see it. It was just like kind of generally uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, I asked Kyle in my chat with him back a few weeks ago, like who would have gone first. He said it was going to be Aubrey in his mind. Is that where you stand as well?
At that point in time, it would have been like I said, like he was very supportive of like just wanting to nip that in the bud, so to speak.
Yeah,
But as time went on and we didn't lose, you get closer and closer to what you suspect is like a swap situation or a merge
yeah,
situation. And Angelina had like friends, like the David and Goliaths, but also like some other friendships on the cast. Obviously, Aubrey does too, but Angelina is also just like very naturally charming. And so we really did go back and forth between Aubrey or Angelina. It wasn't just like,
yeah.
everyone
Wasn't
sees
Clay Cup.
and Aubrey's going. And then we were strongly suspicious that Aubrey had something. So we wanted to ideally split votes, but that becomes very difficult when like half of your alliance doesn't have a vote.
Yeah,
So
and then like obviously finding out that yeah, okay, she does have something. Like all the goss happens at the merge, and I guess it's reaffirming in a way. I think I am conscious of this theory of luck as well because luck, how important to you is luck in Survivor?
um I know that there are elements of luck and timing and randomness that just is like inherent with the game, but I think generally it evens itself out. I mean, there can be those pivotal moments of like twists that really you can tell are a turning point. Like something definitely was going to happen and now it can't or won't because of a twist.
Yeah.
But generally on balance, I think, you know, things things play out how the odds would have had them go anyways. But yeah, I don't know. People keep telling me that I'm very unlucky,
Mm.
but I don't know. I think I could have done a lot of things better. So I mean, to a certain extent, I agree with what you see Aubrey say in the tribal council, like you earn your own luck in Survivor, but also there are things you can't control, like a blood moon.
Yeah, like a blood moon. Look, I'll add my voice to that. I think you're very unlucky, and I think you're very unlucky in this
Thanks, Ryan.
situation specifically. Like when you have Rick, Aubrey, Christian, and a group of five. It's funny because I don't know how you view Survivor more broadly, but for me, I always view Survivor in the game mechanics of just allow players to play and don't shift things too broadly that change like every piece of work that someone has done to a moment. So it's a really hard thing. So I agree. I'm keen to see what 50 looks like. I feel like I touched on this a little bit more broadly, but I always like to wrap these chats talking about the concept of gratitude. Gratitude is a big part of my world, and I practice gratitude daily, and I am fascinated by that for survivors specifically and how that connects and resonates with you. What are you grateful for from like this 8 years or even longer? Like I'm sure, when did you start watching Survivor, Genevieve? Like when did that actually start happening?
Oh, when I was young. So like
Okay.
I don't have it all memorized. My husband is like a massive, he wasn't when we started dating and now he's an even deeper
Yeah.
fan than I am. He's a
Love
brain that
this.
can memorize everything. So yeah, he's marks all over it. Um, but I agree with you. And I actually did a post last night after the episode, like to the effect of like unlucky in some ways, but very lucky in others. And I do
Yeah.
feel so grateful because I think aside from the experience and all the friends, and that it's incredible. Like you will meet people who you will know your whole life, or I hope to know my whole life. But
Yeah.
beyond that, one of the things it really helped me with and helped me develop with it as a person is um, this concept of failure in like failure resulting in richer relationships because I think it's so part of my nature to just want to be perfect or present as perfect so that people will like me. And
Yeah.
it's been such a counterintuitive thing, but such an important lesson to learn of like in the moments that I don't want my friends and family to see because I'm fumbling or failing or voted out and like want to cry, those are the moments that people reach out and you like feel those bonds better. So it's like I want to hide all of that from them so that they never see me fail or be weak. But then when they see it, I get so much more like love and connection with my friends and family, with like people who I haven't met reaching out. And so it's weird because I think I want to be perfect so people like me and think I'm great. And
Mhm.
then people thinking you're great when you're not perfect is a really like just sort of good lesson, and your value doesn't come from outcomes, it comes from who you are. So I'm really really grateful for that.
Yeah, I thank you for being so authentic in that. I completely agree, and I think sometimes I'm a people pleaser as well. Well, I put myself through psychology. I would say I'm a recovering people pleaser
Recovery.
at this point.
It's a journey, Ryan.
Yeah,
We're on a
it
journey.
it ebbs and flows, but I feel that, and it's so true. I think we learn and grow so much through failure and through those experiences, and it builds authentic ties, and it I don't know, it humanizes us and it lets us go into things without ego and grow and develop, and I think we learn so much more through the things that we struggle and grapple through than if we just always have luck on our side. So I really appreciate you coming on. I really appreciate you being so authentic, and grateful I finally got to chat to you. So thanks for taking the time, and all the best. I hope that you get to really enjoy watching this as a fan. I know you didn't get to get that second half of the show being on the jury, so unlucky. But I hope you get to enjoy watching as a fan and seeing it all play out.
Awesome, thank you so much. This was a pleasure, Ryan.